But let's move on to our next trade here. And this is one that Austin Krell is going to hate. So let's talk about D'Angelo Russell and the Minnesota Timberwolves. D'Angelo Russell for Ben Simmons is my original one, but I think we can get more than just D'Lo, so let's do with the one that's been suggested all over. D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley for Ben Simmons and George Hill. What do you guys think?
Oh,
no.
I think the D'Lo hate's a little much personally, but I'm not a fan.
He is the definition of a chucker, as you said before. He's one of, like, okay, personally for me, if we're talking about a guy we want who's gonna have a high like play high IQ basketball, feed his teammates when they need to be fed, and play good basketball at the end of a game, to me, that's not the guy. Like, I personally would rather have Tyrese Maxey in there than D'Lo right now. And I know D'Lo shoots threes very well.
I love Tyrese Maxey. I think that's crazy.
And here's the thing. I'm not going to lie to you. I used to like D'Lo until I learned what a good point guard looked like.
Well, I don't necessarily think that point guard is this unicorn position in the NBA where everyone has to fill a certain void for that. But D'Angelo Russell is just a scorer. It's hard to look past.
That's not what you need on the Sixers right now. You need a guy who's a facilitator. Well, yes, but you also need if you're losing Ben Simmons, you're losing one of the top 5 facilitators in this league.
I think you also need an initiator. You also need a playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't bring juice. He doesn't bring anything.
I'm just saying he's shot over 30% on like volume 3-point attempts over the last 4 years. He was the best.
Over 30%.
He was 37%.
Okay,
37%.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my bad. He shot over. I didn't notice.
He better shoot over 30%.
He shot 37.
I will never get the image of D'Lo going ice in my veins during the summer league game versus Ben Simmons. Anybody else remember that?
I remember it.
Am I that old? All right.
I'm not a D'Lo fan. It sounds like all these people I'm defending. I'm not really a D'Lo fan. This sounds terrible now. I wanted Okafor instead of D'Lo. I'm crazy. I was not a D'Lo guy, but I think that the public discourse around D'Angelo Russell over the last couple of years is I don't think it's very smart personally. He's been in some weird situations, and maybe that's his fault. Maybe he signed in the wrong places. Maybe he went to the wrong places. But he signed with Golden State after the Clay injury, and they were filling him in for Golden State. And he was not a perfect fit there. He was taking 10 threes a game and shooting 37.4% for Golden State, and they were playing terrible without Stephen Clay and Dre. But he has really turned into a legitimately good volume 3-point shooter. Terrible defender. He's an absolutely terrible defender. There's no defending that. I don't think he's as bad as a passer as you guys think he does. And I can't forget that year in Brooklyn where he was the best player and an all-star on a team that was the surprise of the league in a way that the Knicks were this year. And I don't think he gets a lot of credit for that because of the years since in Golden State and Minnesota. I'm not saying I would even do this necessarily, by the way. I'm just saying that it's in that Sexton Garland level for me of I would consider it.
I also think that team in general, that Nets team was actually better than I think a lot of people thought it was going to be. If you look at what year was that? What year was that where they were in the playoffs against us?
I mean, I can tell you who was on the team. It was Dinwiddie,
Karis LeVert.
The guys, Karis LeVert, the guys that they traded for James Harden, they still had Joe Harris, they had Taurean Prince.
There was a lot of guys on that team that were legit, good offensive players and defensive players. They were young at the time, but there was a lot of really good players on that team, and I think the team was actually underrated in a lot of ways, and they had good vets on the team too. So
this is a good point here too. Malik Beasley and D'Lo are 24, and also Malik Beasley's a weirdo off the court and kind of a scumbag if you look at his record, but he's a bucket. That dude's a walking bucket. I've loved Malik Beasley since the Denver Nuggets days when I thought he wasn't getting enough run, and I think Denver Nuggets looks like they could use a guy like that nowadays with Jamal and Jokic and Porter. They could really use a guy at the 2 like him, and I think that could have been Malik Beasley, but he's.
No, I think Ben is a perfect fit in Minnesota. He's exactly what they kind of need. That defensive identity.
I was gonna say I think they thought when Minnesota drafted Jarrett Culver, they thought he was going to come in and be a really good defender and be a 3-point shooter for them, kind of like what DeAndre Hunter is for Atlanta, and Jarrett Culver's just been bad. And so
Yeah,
I think Ben Simmons going in there would definitely help them out a lot, especially playing next to Cat, who's like a perfect stretch 5 for him. But I don't know. I don't think the Sixers I'd be kind of surprised if the Sixers made that move.
I could just see Daryl.
D'Lo would be liked in Philly just because he is like that offensive guy who's gonna hit long threes. He's gonna hit big shots. He's gonna play to the crowd. I don't know. I think there's better deals on the table than that personally.
I didn't know Anthony Edwards' usage rate was that high. It's over 27%.
He's a dribbler, man.
You talking about a chucker.
He reminded me of James Harden a lot with how much he was dribbling the basketball at times. Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about a chucker. Anthony Edwards, the chucker. I don't think D'Lo can classify as a chucker with how efficient he's been lately. There's bad shots. If they're bad shots, they're going in at a pretty good clip. So I like D'Angelo Russell a lot for this team at this point. And I'm not even a big D'Angelo Russell guy, but I just think he can go get a bucket. And he's the type of guy that, Daryl might look at and be like, this guy shot 10 threes a game a couple of years ago and hit 37% of them. Like, he might just be like, you plug that in with Joel Embiid, there's a championship. I don't care what people think about D'Angelo. Yeah, by the way, let's just say if I could trade Embiid. I thought they said Ben first. If I could trade Ben for the number 1 pick and Cade, I would do that a million times out of a million. And I'm sure I'll talk Cade a million times before the draft. I think he's a Luka level prospect. I absolutely love Cade Cunningham.